This is the sound of correct microphone placement.
Things have gotten technologically advanced.
You're listening to The Authenticity Show, where you get to eavesdrop on great conversations about health, creativity, and the quest for excellence. Your hosts are Carlos Casados and Satch Purcell. Before we get started, I'd like to remind you to please subscribe to The Authenticity Show wherever you get your podcasts and connect with us on social media. We would love to hear from you. Our guests today are Seamus Warnock and Dean Karolekis. Both these guys have been on the show before, but here they are together. And this is a discussion about Seamus, Dean, and Carlos's recent trip to Mexico for the Dia de los Muertos celebrations. Cool episode, fun stuff here, talking about their adventures. And if you know these guys, you know these guys. They like to have a good time, but they're also intelligent travelers, and it's a really cool episode, so check it out.
You may have noticed that we have two special guests here today.
Yeah, we do.
We got the Seamus and we have the Dean, both of whom have been on this show before.
Yes.
And we have a tradition that's been set up so far, that Seamus and Dean and I go on some kind of an exotic trip to some third world country adventure, someplace we haven't been, someplace that sounds mysterious and intriguing for us. And we talk about that and we plan it out, and there's a little bit of trusting the plan in it, and there's a little bit of planning to trust in it.
Sure.
And we have a lot of fun. So we thought that tonight would be a great night to talk about that trip. Because the last time we talked about our trip, it was Kilimanjaro.
That's right. That's right.
And this time we went into the mysterious, magical, south of the border, Mexico.
Yeah, so you guys went to Mexico to participate in the Day of the Dead.
We did.
In Mexico.
Yep.
And I saw cool pictures of like Seamus dressed up like a skeleton, and it was awesome. You know, some good stuff. So whose idea was this?
His.
This guy right over here.
Yep.
Was it mine? I don't
Yours.
remember.
No, I remember it clearly.
How did I come up with this?
Because it was a
crazy
trade-off
idea?
from Africa. I was kind of like, oh, well, he wants to go to Dia de los Muertos, and I made him go all the way to Africa. I'm wearing the hat in solidarity, by the way, guys.
Nice.
That's why it's here.
And happy birthday, Walter.
Oh, Walter, it's your
Walter's
birthday.
birthday.
Walter's
Happy birthday, Walter. Our friend from Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So, in this particular case, I wanted to go to Africa, and then he wanted to go to Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, Carlos wanted to go to certain places in Mexico. And then we just kind of, whoever comes up with the idea, and it's kind of insistent, I think.
Okay.
He really wanted to go. For us, here's the thing that was so enlightening about the whole trip. I grew up here, and it was just kind of like, oh, this is, the Dia de los Muertos is Halloween for Mexico. But it's not. It's totally different. And I was so happy that he dragged me along on this adventure, because it just totally rewired and reframed every single thing that I knew about Mexico and the concepts about it and stuff.
Yeah.
It's so different than being here in Southern California and that culture.
It begins on Halloween, though, right?
Yes. And Todos All Santos is like All Saints Day.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it carries into the next couple of days.
It's a good couple of days of remembrance and festival. It depended on a lot of different factors. Like, we would walk through the cemeteries, because this was Carlos's great idea to not do it in Mexico City, but do it in the more traditional areas, Pátzcuaro, Morelia, and those areas,
like
which was about an hour drive from Mexico City. And that's a story unto itself, because this man took to driving in Mexico like a fish in the water. Couldn't believe it. So we went to those places, and we would see, some of them were very somber. Like, it was really weird, because you're walking through the graveyard, and you'll see like the old lady who's with her husband or something like that. I mean, old lady. Mm-hmm. And then a little bit down the way, other people had hired jazz bands, and there was this huge party going on. Uh-huh. So it was this really weird, different multi-candled, all the flowers.
Yeah, that was an extremely colorful trip, in spite of the fact that there was a lot of black too.
Yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of black and whites, right? But there was just tons of golden, yellows and other colors too. But the primary thing for that tradition is marigolds.
Yeah, the marigolds.
Because the marigolds are thought to be associated with a smell that attracts the dead spirits, the relatives of your beloved relatives who've passed on, that kind of thing. So they would make these trails, kind of like like a path that would be, bedazzled with marigolds, and then doorways that would be either hoops or actual, square rectangular doorways that people would walk through, and that was to create kind of an entrance way from the spirit world into the physical world. And so, according to the tradition, this is the time when you can feed and connect with your ancestors and remember them, and and that they're said to be able to walk amongst the living.
Yeah, a reunion, so to speak.
Yeah, it's reunion.
Yeah,
and it's a
nice.
great time for the whole family to get together and feast together, sing songs, dance, play games. The little kids, remember the little niñas and niños that would come up with an actual pumpkin, not just a store-bought
Oh, it's a little hollowed out.
a hollowed out pumpkin or some kind of squash or gourd.
Wow.
And you'd
He
have
had
to
to
give
put a
them
little-
money or candy or something.
He had the great idea of just buying a bunch of candy at the store, because it was just well known to give them a little token or something. That they can be quite aggressive sometimes too.
Yeah.
If you don't, not like here, it's like, okay, whatever. And then he bought so much candy, and I was like, surely that would. No, it didn't last the night at all.
Yeah, it ran out pretty
He ran out rather quickly. I was like, hey, don't let me go talk to him. And he'd
Well,
get
once
a
the
little-
kids see that, okay, that guy over there, he's got some candies.
And it was like-
he's giving out something, so let's all hit him up. So
Yeah, first
a
of all,
brilliant idea.
The trip was his idea, and now he's the candy man.
and I was the candy
Right.
man.
the candy man.
And the second night too, he actually doubled up, I think, on candy too, and it didn't last very long either. It was just one of those things that it was shocking to me. But
Wow. So,
Then
Dean,
again-
what? I'm sorry, I interrupted.
I was just going to say
Yeah.
candy and children in America also.
Yeah, Halloween. Right. So, why was this your idea, and why were you so pushy about it?
I don't know if I was pushy about it.
Well, they just said,
You want to talk pushy? It was him pushing me to Kilimanjaro.
Notice the hat.
I noticed the hat.
Solidarity, guys.
I just thought it was something that actually. So when my wife and I were living in New York, it was something sort of nearby. I mean, on the continent anyway, that I'd always wanted to do and I always wanted to see. And so I said, okay, during the time we're here, we'll have the chance to do it. I'll have the chance to do it at least one October, and I just never had that chance. First, it was I don't know. It's just never. It never sort of panned out.
Yeah.
And then COVID came along. And then we kept putting it off, and then finally, all right, we had the opportunity to
rose.
go.
Yeah.
So
And he's from Canada, so that also might be a reason why it's a bit more mysterious to him than it is, say, for us who grew up here. Because we just grew up here, and
Plus, I've been to Mexico a few times, and not just, I'm not counting Tijuana in that. I'm talking about most of us who grew up in Southern California, when you get to be around 18 or 16, 17, 18, you go to TJ.
why?
For the books.
why would
Fish
anyone do
tacos
that?
candy.
Fish tacos.
There you go.
Yeah,
Dollar
fish
tacos down in
but obviously the
Mexico.
drinking age is lower, and it's a
drinking
party,
age is 18
party
and then
situation.
It's the border town.
And it's not the best representation of Mexico. It'd be kind of like
Not at
judging all of California based upon what's going on in Skid Row at this moment.
yeah,
You know,
right,
it's like-
right.
a rough
and to be
area.
fair, Tijuana has become more gentrified. There's more money that's gone into developing it. It's become cleaner. There's more resorts and things like that. So just to be fair, things have changed a lot in the last 30 years. But originally, it was kind of like that. And about, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, there's a Mexican restaurant that I go to. It's called Amorelia. And I started to go there regularly, and I was looking for places to go. And I was talking about Day of the Dead at lunch with one of the waiters there. And we became friends, and he had recommended, he said, if you're going to go to Day of the Dead, don't do it in Mexico City. I mean, it's okay. He's like, honestly, but it's like any city. you don't want to stay there too long. You want to go out and find these other places. He said there's something that kind of fits that perfect happy medium where it's not too obscure and it's not too crowded, but you'll still get that flavor, that whole traditional feeling. And there's some specific things that they only do in that area that I think you're really going to like. So I wrote all this stuff down, and when we first started having our discussions about where we might go, I was like, oh, this is great, because I already have this Google Note thing on this. And so we started talking about it and trying to figure out how we were going to plan our trip, because getting to Pátzcuaro and Morelia and those areas was kind of important. And as we started to look at videos and websites devoted to people who visited, it started to look like a real wonderful place to take pictures, a wonderful place to experience the food.
It was true.
Yeah.
All of it.
Just
amazing everywhere.
never seen so many flowers in my entire life.
Amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Never had so many fresh chips.
Yeah.
And
Because they always
candles.
it's fresh chips when you go into the restaurant. Those chips and salsa.
Like they just made it.
They just made it. There's no
Yeah.
bad
And fresh
chips in
tortillas.
Mexico.
Yeah.
Fresh tortillas all the time.
They made
Wow.
tortillas or they made chips. Every restaurant, just there's no bag of chips.
Very
And so it was like
nice.
every time, it was always different. Every chip that you ate in every restaurant, of course, prepared and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's always different.
So
So
this festival, I guess, right, lasts a few days, doesn't it?
Yes.
So it's okay. So for somebody who's never been, I've never been there, and I haven't seen this. What are the sights and sounds like? How early do people get started, and what are they doing, and what's the day like? And
well, one of the things that I noticed was there's no shenanigans. I was probably the only shenanigan running around going, Muertos! and doing things like that to the kids and stuff. They didn't do it back. There was no scary stuff. Like they wore scary stuff and did like little marches in their town square and certainly displays and things like that. But like we use it as an excuse to do naughty shenanigans, trick or treat. Okay, I'm tricking you. You know what I mean? But it wasn't really like that at all.
It's more religious.
Yeah, it's very like it's more like wear a nice jacket and get your face painted in the death thing and stuff like that. So it's
More reverent.
Yeah. So I was just
In parades and things like that.
and those was- I was just
okay, wow,
The parades are usually kind of depicting our life, but from the afterlife perspective. So, husbands and wives in, their marriage attire, right? The gown and the suit, but as skeletons.
Okay.
And a pope or a bishop or a pope that was walking through and was the skull and bones, but still dressed like a pope. There's musicians, and they try to just sort of mimic life, but as if they're kind of reenacting the idea that they're coming in from the afterlife. And this is an old idea that probably came from Aztec and Maya times, right?
actually you might know the answer to that.
Or Incan times.
Yeah, the answer, which part? But the Aztec
Yeah,
influence?
Aztec influence.
Well, I mean, because it's a bit of a syncretism in the religions between the Aztec belief system and the Catholicism that the Spanish conquistadors brought with them, right? So they would in the Aztec times they had a more circular view of life, and so death was just part of life. Whereas the Spanish brought over this idea that death is to be feared, and so the traditions in medieval Spain and Renaissance Spain at the time were, for example, to have the danse macabre, the dance of death, and the idea that everyone, rich or poor, is equalized by death, and death is to be feared and to be avoided at all costs. And excuse me. And so they brought that idea with them, and so it syncretized into this idea, and also the fact that they had already been celebrating All Saints' Day, All Souls' Day, and they just switched the celebration of the goddess of the underworld, who was I think it was she was feted in the 9th month of the Aztec calendar, which worked out to our late July, early August. And then the Spanish priest said, okay, we're just going to shift that over a little bit, a couple of months, and move that to November. So you have your celebration of the death, which you still do, and we'll just call it All Saints' Day, All Souls' Day. And so that helped them to sort of make an easier transition, let's say.
Okay. So it was a compromise, like all things.
Well, it was a conquest.
It was spin.
Yeah.
I was really glad. I was really glad you asked that question, Satch.
Yeah. All right. All right. Excellent. So, did you guys drive, fly? I mean, how did you get there?
We flew there.
We flew.
And then we rented a car. So after a day or a
we
day and a
flew.
half in Mexico
We
City.
went to Mexico City. Yeah.
Yeah, we flew to
Okay,
Mexico
flew to
City.
Mexico City. Okay.
And then we, the plan was to get to Morelia and Pátzcuaro and the Day of the Dead. We had kind of timed it, giving us a day of travel.
Mm-hmm.
So we got there, saw those things, and on our way back, we had more time in Mexico City where we saw the pyramids and things like that. We went and did some of those fun things.
Yeah, very good.
Pyramid of the Moon.
Certainly want to hear about those things.
Teotihuacan.
Yeah, Teotihuacan.
Yeah.
Super
Okay.
cool.
So let's talk about that. So what
There's
was that
a lot
like?
of Jaguar people selling the little.
Yeah. Sounds
They're
just like
walking around
that.
all
So they're Jaguar.
There are these little,
Sounds-
there are
yes.
these little heads that look like a jaguar.
Okay.
Some of them are skulls, depends on the whole thing. And you actually do you have to.
Okay.
that's the
Can you
sound of
just
it.
use your hands?
Well, you and I can.
Yeah, okay.
But the rest of the people, they're like, how do you do that? We don't know how to. But you and I could easily. I mean, I did it without hands, and I did it with my hands, and
Yeah. Did you
So-
buy one?
yes, we all got a bunch. I got
Yeah.
a bunch.
Ooh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay.
I have two
Wow.
two really weird slee stack from Land of the Lost looking skull ones.
Okay.
That were I didn't see anywhere else. Whenever I go to the tourist trap places, the thing is to look around and see everybody has that. What's the one thing they don't have? Oh, you're the only guy selling that. Be it earrings or whatever, and that's the thing you buy.
That's the sound of the ghost.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
skull makes the sound of the ghost to scare
Exactly.
away the evil spirits.
Right.
And it's
Okay.
it's a unique sound. It's a
cool.
good sound.
Yeah, it's hard to play that one. But the other ones have the skull has it's like an L tube with like a jaguar. So that's where you
Okay.
put the hand over the mouth and go and you blow on the top and
Okay. I think
you
See, I think everybody needs to try to make the sound on their
Okay,
own.
yeah,
I think we should
go.
start with Carlos.
go.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a mighty jaguar there.
All right.
What jungle do you live
I
in?
can't follow that.
Yeah.
There's no following.
But I'd
Come
like
on,
to hear it.
Bodie.
Want me to hold your beer?
I think I need the beer.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're in this. That's a Canadian
That's
jaguar.
just-
Canadian
Yeah.
Jaguars.
Yeah,
That's phlegm, is what that is. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a fur ball. And you?
Fledgem.
Oh, you want me up?
Yeah.
I don't know what sound a jaguar makes, but I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do that one.
Okay.
You know, it's
That's
a
pretty
little
close.
more traditional.
Not bad for a person who's never been there or heard it.
I know, never been there.
That's an English Jaguar.
Yeah, it is an English jaguar. Yeah, Scottish.
Scottish.
It's a European.
Yeah, yeah. All right, very cool. So what other we were going to talk about the pyramids.
Yeah, we're at the pyramid.
Yeah,
which
so-
is
so
the jaguar
that's
iconic
where that
sound.
was-
That's where all
Yeah.
of the panhandlers and people they all had
Teotihuacan.
Teotihuacan.
Okay.
And
And
they had a lot of obsidian things too.
Okay.
Okay. Knives.
And it's quite large.
Hatchets. It's huge. It was.
yeah. So what is the structure like? Where does it come from? What do you recall from learning about
So
this?
there's more than one temple, pyramid. There's like a very large one kind of in the center. The others are situated
the sun, moon.
in some significant alignment with those. So yeah, exactly like you said, sun, the moon, and there's the temple of the jaguar, and there's temple of Quetzalcoatl as well, the plumed serpent.
And then there was the area where people lived, and the Avenue of the Dead is what you walked to. You had to go up, and then down these stairs, and then up these stairs, and these down these stairs. For some reason, we ended up. If the whole thing is a big giant square, which is, it's a preserve, you end up with this little bottom corner. You had to walk the whole way, but there was other parking areas that were closer to the actual Temple of the Suns, let's say.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we had this really nice flavor of what it exactly was like to live during that time period.
And walk
And
everywhere.
walking
you gotta
all
go,
the way
right?
to the temple. It's all the way to. And it was really cool though because it's far. It's not close walk, and there was this whole other side that we didn't even get to explore because it was more than one day. And so you saw the Sun Temple and then the Moon Temple way down there, and you're like, oh, what are these things? And you have to. We got like nice pictures of the sun behind Carlos. Got a dapper hat on.
Nice. Now, did you all put on makeup for the Day of the Dead.
Of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think I saw pictures of Bodhi with them.
That's
Did
it's
I?
there.
How could you
It's
not have
there.
seen
How could you
pictures?
not? How could
Yeah,
you not
it's
see
it's
that?
in the
Did I?
group of
It's in
pictures
there?
that
Okay,
were
it's in
posted.
there.
Yeah.
It's
The three of us looked like we were heading out to beat up Daniel LaRusso. It
I
was-
must.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
Perfect. Absolutely.
That's great.
Cobra Kai.
Oh my god.
In fact, we should probably find that photo for the promo for this
I have,
episode.
Yeah.
I have all of that. I have a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, me too.
I
So
was running around a lot of paparazzi and
Okay.
take a lot of pictures. Although I think Carlos beats me on that one.
we've got a lot of good pictures though
Yeah.
between the three of us,
Excellent.
for sure.
Excellent. So, what other sites did you see? What other touristy things were on the list?
Well, the last day was the COVID shopping. That was fun.
So tell me about COVID shopping.
The
I
whole-
don't know how touristy that was.
the whole day was us. Just basically, we woke up and said we have to go get this done. So why don't we just see what Mexico City is?
Okay.
And so we did that. We just walked to the first COVID place, and they're like, "We don't do that here. Try the other one." And
No,
then
what did you have to do exactly?
A
to get on
test.
the airplane, you have to
You
do
have to get a
the-
COVID test to get on the airplane.
Yeah,
Okay.
the 72-hour test and stuff like
Okay.
that. But that was really cool because we ended up in the park, and we had some really good, yummy local food, which is what I had been searching for the whole time. Still didn't get my empanada.
That's right. I heard about this.
Yeah.
That let's get into that. So you
Scarred.
all you wanted
Scarred.
was an empanada from Mexico.
Emotional damage.
And no
All I
matter
wanted
what
was
you
an
did,
empanada.
now how hard was it? Like, tell me some of the failures.
There was no fit. It was everywhere. No empanada.
No empanada.
I saw it the first day, and I was like, I'm in the land of empanadas, and I love empanadas, and I'm gonna have them every day, so I won't get here.
For some reason, we
And
wouldn't
then there
find
was
them.
no other empanada.
And then we would eat lunch, a big lunch,
Uh-huh.
and then we'd be walking home, and
And
there'd
we'd
be an
find
empanada place.
Oh, so you'd see the empanadas
yeah,
later.
so it was like a tease.
That was
kind
still
of-
again the last
yeah.
day. We had that huge big lunch after we
Yeah.
had the test, and then on the way home there was the empanada shop.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm like, last day, last minute, last thing. I saw it at the beginning, and I
Okay.
couldn't have, and I chose not to have it because I thought I was in the land of empanadas.
So empanadas are your bass. See, for me,
Okay.
They're
I
like-
always go or just real quick. I always
Oh,
go
sure.
fishing, right? And for whatever reason, I mean, you know, Carlos, you know this about me. Seamus, you know this. I've
to
gone
fish.
fishing many times in my life.
Yeah.
I never catch bass, but everybody around me catches bass. It's one of those things. Like, I
What is
went
that?
I went catfishing at night with a friend of mine, and he caught a bass at night,
do you
which
do
you
that?
don't catch bass.
Maybe
at
you're from
night
the
like that.
Bass Clan.
I don't know what it is, but like, I never catch
I
bass.
wonder
You
what those
couldn't get
things
an
are called.
empanada.
They have to have some kind of name.
Cosmic
That I
avoidance.
that
Cosmic avoidance.
cosmic avoidance for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know,
You know
what,
what I mean.
what that's all about.
It's your white whale. Maybe empanadas
Yeah,
are your
it's
white
the
whale.
white whale.
It's your
That's what
white
it
whale.
is.
White buffalo.
Yeah, because you get all the samosa you want,
You get all the samosa I want.
Yeah,
but
which
just
is
not
an Indian
empanadas.
empanada.
Yeah,
You know, that's what that is, right?
yeah. The food was phenomenal. Even when it wasn't phenomenal, it was really good.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Like I mentioned, the chips, but
even
just
simple stuff
everything
on the
else.
side of the road, right?
Everything
You know?
else.
Brain tacos.
Except for
Brain
that.
taco.
Except for that
Taco.
taqueria that night, the first night
Tongue
in
tacos.
Morelia. We went to go. It was very late.
Okay.
Everything closed
Yeah.
at like 4:35, and we had like seen on the way in to where we were staying. Oh, look, there's it looked like a Brazilian barbecue house. And we're like, yes, we're starving. Closed. We ended up at this other place. It was like, oh, this is like a 5-star thing on the review of the tacos. Great. No regular taco, no chicken taco, no beef taco. Tongue.
Tacos de lengua
Yeah.
And
and
cabeza.
tacos de cabeza.
the whole things that were not the things that
Brain
I wanted. It was
tacos.
just like they had no chicken at all.
Interesting.
I remember that.
So, Carlos, did you have a brain taco? Because I'm wondering how it compares to a nootropic.
I didn't. I did not because Danny was not with me.
Yes.
Okay,
Has to be
Danny
raw
was
brain.
there. That's right.
If he were with me,
if our wonderful
I
Danny
would
was
have
there,
probably
yeah.
done it.
Yeah, okay.
He's who
The raw brain-
He's my
raw brain
guy.
specialist.
He's my guy when it comes to introducing me to organ meats and
Yeah.
whatnot.
yeah, kidney tacos.
Yeah.
I actually do enjoy the raw liver that Danny brings sometimes with the mustards.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds us of that '80s film Red Dawn.
Red Dawn.
Red
Okay.
Dawn.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
You mean Wolverines?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wolverine.
Thank you.
Not Red Dawn. Wolverine.
Wolverines. That's it.
Wow, we did aggressive on that one.
I know. Lung tacos and anyway.
But speaking of tacos, there was a night where we decided to go for the full luchador experience.
yes. Almost
Okay.
forgot
And it
about that.
included
What's this?
tacos and mezcal and beer.
Okay.
And,
Whose
a
idea was
luchador
that?
experience.
Was that your idea? Whose idea was that?
I might have had it in the back of my mind as something we might do if we had the chance. I've always wanted to see one of those luchador.
Yeah.
I think it was your idea, and I'm glad you did.
And then so there was a little tour. So you pay a few bucks and you join a tour. The guy says, "All right, I'll bring you to my taco place, and they'll serve you
as
some
many tacos as you
mezcal.
want.
We'll go to the next
Beer.
place and we'll drink some beer and some more mezcal, and then we go and we see the fight." And the fight was out of hand.
Amazing.
The fight was
It was.
incredible.
So tell me about the fight. What was the fight?
Well, they had the good guys and the bad guys, just like our wrestling over here.
Okay.
And I forget the name, the professionals. I forget what they were called. But there's terminology.
Luchadores.
No, there
Right.
was the good guys and the bad
Lucha
guys.
Libre.
There was.
But
He's
the
talking
good
about the
guys
good guys
are
and the
called.
bad guys.
There's terminology for the good guys
And the terminology for the
right.
bad guys.
Yeah.
And so everyone
so-
roots for the good guys.
so you
We
would
hate the
like,
bad guys.
Yeah, if you were like the good guy, you'd scream that word.
Okay.
And then I forget what it was.
Yeah, and
We,
I think it was like chingon or something.
No, that's
Because-
not a.
yeah, no.
No, that's one of the things you could swear. You literally could say anything
Yeah.
you want in that.
Yeah.
It was
Okay.
amazing. It
Okay.
was so much fun, and no one
right.
batted an eye. It was great because
Okay.
you could
Yeah, in that
scream
context.
profanities and stuff like that.
Yeah,
It's
stuff that you would
norm.
never say.
A
normally.
7-year-old. You know what I
The
mean?
kids
You're like,
love it.
whoa.
Kids are digging that
You know what I
show.
mean? Only in the arena.
Blood boils. It's a fight. And
Yeah.
when one of the guys loses, I mean, obviously one of the fighters is going to lose. And they have these little guys dressed in Aztec costumes to escort
Right.
them through this sort of doorway that represents the gates to hell.
Okay.
And so he's symbolically consigned to hell after
straight
having
to
lost.
hell.
to the
Yeah,
underworld.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Down to
Yeah.
the
It
underworld
It was an
with
amazing
you.
night wandering the street. We with the second place they gave you masks, so you actually got to wear a luchador mask and roam the streets of Mexico City, marginally inebriated, and then
Alas.
go into the thing.
Okay.
and
I
wear,
lost
you get to
mine.
wear your mask. It's
Due
great.
to excessive alcohol consumption, mine was lost.
You lost your
I really
mask.
liked my luchador mask.
It was good.
Wow. Wow.
What was your luchador name? I forgot.
Oh Jesus, I forgot too.
It was one of those nights. It
I'm
started
worthless
tonight.
tonight.
Early. That night started early, and it went on for the whole night.
So since we have Seamus on this topic, I have to ask.
I didn't wrestle that night, if that's what you're asking.
Oh no, I wasn't going to ask that. What I was going to ask is, you went back to Mexico. Did you overcome your aversion to tequila?
No, but I drank tequila that night of the luchador.
So
Yeah.
well, that's good enough.
Yeah.
I mean,
Night
well, I
of the
mean,
luchador.
you actually drank tequila because this was like this was a whole thing.
It made me very burpy, and there wasn't enough food. They were like, "Oh, we'll give you tacos." This is the thing. Like, I eat a lot of food. I'm like a big person, and they're like, "Oh, we'll give you tacos," and I'm like, "I'll have like 12," and they're like, "Ah," and I'm like,
So like,
"I'm gonna have 12 tacos, please," and they're like, "Ah," and I'm like, "You said all I could eat. You're giving me these little dollar tacos. It barely fit in my hand. I'll take 12."
Yeah.
And so they
could
were
have
like,
said 40. So.
Yeah, 40, no problem either. And so that mezcal was on the tequila was on the empty stomach, and so I was very drawn out in the beginning of the night, thinking, "God, this is going to go the wrong way."
Yeah. Well,
But-
for all the listeners at home,
It's bad.
Seamus has a
No
tequila
tequila.
story that I guess we don't need to tell.
I
But
don't even know what it is, but I don't want to tell it.
but anyways, long story short, the guy doesn't like tequila.
Don't give me.
right?
No, I have like an allergic reaction to it. I think it's really just my. I think it's a genetic thing. There's no tequila plant in the north.
But you went south and had some tequila.
Yeah, I did.
tacos.
What is it that was it pulque? Is that what it's called?
Pulque.
Pulque, yeah. Pulque.
Yeah,
which
it's a
is,
traditional drink of that
It's
region.
an alcohol.
It's from Oaxaca, right?
From the plant,
And
from the tequila plant. They just
Morelia
don't
specifically.
process it in the same way,
Okay.
and it's more plant like based, kind of. I think something like that. And I could drink that, and it's alcoholic. So
Okay.
yeah, it's a beer made from the agave rather than a tequila or a mezcal.
Yeah. Got it.
It's
Okay.
like a bubbly beer. So it's sort of sweet and thick.
they had weird flavors like peanut butter.
Well, yeah, they add
they add a
cacahuate, right, which is peanut.
Okay.
Cacahuate, and they have guava and they have pineapple, pina,
Okay.
right?
But they had weird stuff.
Orange.
Man. It was just.
Interesting. Wow.
It
but
was just-
it's thick.
Okay.
It's not bad. It's an acquired taste, but it's very thick,
It's like a beer milkshake.
A little bit like a
Yeah.
beer milkshake.
Like an agave beer
It
milkshake.
reminded
And
me
it
of
has this-
Arag, actually.
Well, except it has
Alright,
the sliminess that, say,
Yeah.
a smoothie with lots of banana would have a little bit of a sliminess to it.
Okay.
So it has a little bit of that. And I know that slimy is not an attractive sounding word, but it's just tolerable. It's not overwhelming.
I loved it. I thought it was great. I
Yeah.
enjoyed everybody else's.
Very filling.
Nobody else wanted
Okay.
to drink anymore, and I was like,
And you were enjoying it.
Yeah,
okay,
I loved
very
it.
good. Very
So-
And it comes in quite a large receptacle.
Okay. So I'm curious. Okay, so highest moment, lowest moment for each of you on this trip.
Oh, you're starting with me.
Who wants to go first?
Go for it, Dean.
I'm not a good highest moment, lowest moment guy. I don't have an answer.
What's your
to that.
favorite even keel moment?
I enjoyed. I'm just even Steven. No, I enjoyed the nights just walking around the cemeteries and just being, because this is how people. This was just regular people, and it wasn't put on for tourists, and it wasn't. In fact, they don't. I mean, there were tourists there, but they don't really. It was a small town. We went to even smaller towns around Lake Pátzcuaro, right? Just to visit their cemeteries, and this is just people living their lives. And so I think seeing how they celebrate this particular holiday, unvarnished, and the beauty of it. I mean, it was just gorgeous with all the candles and the marigolds, the people sitting by the graveside of their departed family members, and it was picturesque. It was just to be there and to share in that. I think it was probably the high point for me.
Low point, brain tacos.
Brain tacos.
That's
I know.
pretty-
I don't
that-
think any of us
that's-
had.
That's pretty
brain
high up on
tacos.
that list of low point. You don't understand how we were extremely starved. We had driven the whole day,
Yeah.
and we were like, we're going to get into town, we're going to get the thing, we're going to get our hotel, and then we're going to go out and get something to eat. Very standard when you travel and stuff like that. Like, in Ethiopia, pulling into town, it's like 9:30, we eat a whole chicken. Things that you don't normally do, right?
Yeah.
So that was like horrible in that
Yeah.
taco because we were starving. We had no food that whole day. And we were just like,
Yeah.
oh, it'd be great. We're pulling into the city, but everything was closed.
Wow.
It wasn't a great taco. The tacos we had at the street tacos we had
Outside the
were
store.
way better than
Way better.
Oh, that night.
fancy
the last, yeah.
Way better.
brain taco.
Yeah, they're fantastic. Because kind of with that, you can kind of walk by and see what looks appealing, which is kind of nice. Because you go, ooh, let's start here. And then when you get those, you know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
In a restaurant, you sit down, you're trying to order from a menu. It's you don't really know what you're getting exactly.
Yeah, totally. So was that your low point, or did you have a different low point?
No,
There wasn't much low
Even keel
points.
low point. Least favorite even keel point, right?
Yeah,
Carlos?
totally.
I can't. I don't know.
We
You guys
travel,
go ahead. Let me
we,
think.
we travel well together.
We do,
There's
yeah.
no real low point.
animosity.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, waiting to get a PCR test is never
Yeah.
the highest
that
point.
wasn't
I mean,
There you go.
boring
But
as
even
hell.
we made
but-
it fun because
but-
we had that interesting store next door.
Yeah, there was a
to the
hippie
clinic.
shop in the
Yeah,
middle of
hippie
Mexico
shop.
City.
That's true.
And
A
that
hippie
hamburger
shop.
we had
Hippie
afterwards,
that
right across the street.
hamburguesa was freaking
Right?
out of this
So-
world.
So even the
One
low
of the best
points, we
I've
made
ever
the best
had.
of it.
Wow.
One of
Okay.
the best hamburgers I've ever had.
My low
Seriously,
point
seriously.
Wow.
Yeah.
was when Carlos was driving and we were going up Jesus del Monte Road late.
The Jesus of pineapples. Okay, go ahead.
Believe me, that joke, all of the jokes, Satch were,
I'm sure. Yeah.
and it's kind of weird when you're GPS navigating and stuff like that, trying to tell Carlos was driving, and it was late. We were not intoxicated by any means. There wasn't really a lot of drinking or for the 2 nights of the festival. Like, it was mostly sober stuff. But it was late, and we were tired, and we had walked all day. And Mexico has potholes in the road, and they also put speed bumps. And Carlos did not see that speed bump at all.
Wow.
And that car, I mean, the car was the, kick the Flintstones in, it was going up the mountain kind of thing.
Oh,
We're like,
boy.
me, 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 me,
Yeah,
me,
it was
me,
like one of
you
those
know.
last
We're like in a
minute, oh, fuck.
4-cylinder Kia
Yeah.
or something
Slam
like
on the
that.
brakes kind
and
of
he
thing.
just
Oh
says,
my God.
boom, and we hit that, and we skipped it sideways into the oncoming car that we barely, but it's
Okay.
probably is very common that kind of thing happens in Mexico often because there isn't. So everybody drives. So the car saw us and just slowed down, and nobody really cared. But
And then they saw it was a bunch of gringos. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they saw that or not. I mean, he doesn't look really gringo, and
No,
he had his face all painted in mask anyway.
there you go.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
They were
okay.
afraid to hit me.
they were.
They
You were-
thought
you-
they
you
were
the
going to deal
ghost.
with the dead.
That's right. That's right.
So-
I have an amazing picture of
They
him
knew
in the
better.
car.
Okay.
After the first night, not this night where we almost died, but the first night, he's just sitting in the car and he's just like, and his face is all skeleton painted, and it just looks so.
Okay.
You're happy you just know it's Carlos.
Thank God it's
This is
him.
Carlos.
Oh, your high point.
Oh, I have two.
Okay.
So, and they're both kind of the same thing of like, it's this thing, like what's really happening here? So, the first one was, I'm standing in the graveyard, and these three women come up to me, and they're like, "Are you standing in line?" Well, no. And they go, okay, and they just get right in line next to me. And I was the end of the line, which is why they asked me if I was standing in line. And I'm like, what? Well, what? Maybe I am in line. What's the line for?
Uh-huh.
And they're like, they're giving out, what was the name of the dish?
Pozole.
Pozole. They're like, they're giving out pozole.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
And
I don't even-
azole.
It's amazing.
It's like hominy and
Yeah, it was a
oh, no,
yeah,
that's
it was a
difference.
warm, liquid, soupy, thick, soupy drink. It was like kind of drinking like gravy.
Yeah.
The azole.
With a
Yeah.
Not the pozole. So the
Oh,
azole is a
there's two-
sweet, warm. I think it
was
maybe
like
has
a guava?
corn and guava.
Okay.
Hot drink.
Okay.
And there's a different forms of it, but that's the kind we had. Was like a guava version of it.
I see.
And we also were given
amazing.
azole, and I'm
Pozole.
sorry, pozole.
Pozole.
With pozole is like a soup with hominy and meat and veggies and spices, onions, all sorts of stuff. So we had these two hot drinks, and it was a rather chilly night.
Yeah, it was-
so it was
it was
nice to have
amazing.
these hot
So as I'm standing there,
things in there.
and I find out this, they're like, "Come on, we eat. It's free." And I'm like, "Cool." And then we had wandered off all into ourselves. Bodhi was where he was, and Carlos was. And Carlos was like, "What are you doing?" I go, "I'm standing in line for." And he's like, "For what?" Like, I don't really know. And then we kind of get to the front, and we're like, "Oh, it's food." And I'm like, "Oh, what is this? Oh, this is amazing food." And it was like midnight or something like that, where it was just some community people got together and said, "We're just making a pozole."
Wow. And they knew the line was there. Somehow you started a line. Didn't even know it.
Yeah, well, I was at the end of the line in some odd way.
Wow.
His instincts brought him right to the food.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
And by the way, I said azole. It's actually atole. I got
Atole.
the.
Oh,
it's
okay.
been
Atole.
confusing the whole time.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
and then the second one was when we were we were eating food in like one of the street restaurants that popped up there,
Okay.
and this guy came by with like an accordion, and he's right behind us, and I was gonna do one of those funny things that you see on like Instagram or TikTok or something like that, where like you hold the thing and then like you're like looking around, and then you get to the guy in the background, and he doesn't see you, and you're all like with your
Yeah.
eyes, which is why I said the two stories are like that.
Okay.
As soon as I put it like that, he goes, bing, you can see him looking right at me, which makes the video even more funny because I totally got caught, and then I had to like play it off.
Yeah. Yeah. Like just a selfie.
Yeah,
No, nothing. You
because
know.
the reason why I like those two is because they're so like they're so foreign.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That when you travel, if you don't take the time to realize how foreign this experience is that you're experiencing. I mean, I'm in full makeup and the whole thing.
Yeah,
and I have like
yeah,
a face mask. Did you see that video?
I don't know if I saw that video. I saw some pictures. I don't think I saw that video though. Yeah, yeah. So, all right. Okay, so a couple of peaks for you.
and yeah, two fun. Well, I mean, the whole trip was fun. These lads are more fun than you can contain.
of course,
you know what
except
I mean?
for Carlos's driving,
Well,
which
that-
gave you,
you
well,
know-
that one time, just that one time.
Yeah, it happens here in America too. So I didn't really feel.
His heart didn't skip a beat.
It was
Yeah, okay.
part of the course.
Yeah. So, Carlito.
So I will start with the thorn before I get to the rose.
The bad thing.
I think the thorn, the bad thing, was that I got a really bad migraine
Oh no.
after
Oh, I remember that.
visiting the Santa Muerte church.
It was so odd. You visited
And it was an
Santa Muerte.
awful feeling. I did tried to take a lot of like painkillers and a variety of mix of things to try to reduce it. But it was just a really strong, and I rarely get migraines.
Yeah.
And I realized what it was, for me, at least personally. I just had absorbed some toxic energy, is the only way I can put it. And so I spent, when we got to the house we were staying at, we stayed with a family. I laid down and I just, for the next like hour or two, worked on pushing that feeling out of me and realigning my own energy system so that I felt balanced again. And at some point I finally felt ready. Okay. I'm on the other side. I've hit over the peak and I think I'm cool now. And so then for the rest of the night, we had a great night, really great night. We went out and had a good time and ate and had fun and drank more and stuff. And it was no problem.
Okay.
But it took it took a lot of work actually during that time. I was really concentrated on kind of extricating myself from whatever it is that I absorbed.
Okay.
And I will not let that happen ever again.
All right.
It was just, I know exactly what happened, but
Okay.
So that was my thorn.
Strange setting too, man. The church that we were at.
Yeah, I mean, it was. There's some.
It's geared towards.
I think some
oddity.
things agree with us and some things don't. And if you happen to be very sensitive, that's more so true. And when you're not prepared, if you don't set your intention beforehand, when you are already sensitive, then if you happen to be exposed to something where it's not in alignment with you, a lot of unconscious processes kick in. A lot of autonomic resynchronization happens with the thing that's not in alignment with you.
Yeah.
And so it throws you off. And you feel
Yeah.
heavy, you feel sick, you feel like you want to vomit, or you feel pain or anxious or any of that stuff. And so were I to go through that again, I would just go in with the knowledge that I have now, align myself differently with the experience so that I didn't allow my mirror neurons to kick in so strongly.
Got it. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you feel autonomic empathy with people because they're hurting,
Yeah.
you know?
Okay.
But there's certain things you can do to kind of extricate yourself from that experience.
Okay.
Same thing.
Okay. Well, that's a low point for
It's
sure.
a low point, yeah. High
was a
point.
bummer.
Yeah.
It was a real bummer, but I was able to get over it. So that was fine. And I learned
Get over it.
I learned something from it. Get over yourself.
Get over it, man.
High point was, funny. I was going to pick the midnight pozole.
That was great.
Because that was just such a
an
random
amazing-
surprise, It was great.
How it fell into.
But
And then Bodie walks in, he's like, "What do you guys got? Like, we got
Yeah.
the free food truck. You didn't see the truck in there?"
Then he's like, "Is this the beginning of the line or the end of the line?" Right?
But I will say that my high point is also what Dean was talking about, because just in general, and both of those were in the cemetery. So it was something about being in the space where there was a different relationship with death. And I really liked it. And when I first got there, and several times through the experience, I felt a lot of emotional tears and things like that. But I also didn't feel bad about that. I felt like that's okay. This is the place to do it. And I don't feel stuck in it. It's just like I just need to pass it. I just need to pass these feelings of sadness or whatever it is. And inside that sadness was a sense of love, that I actually felt a lot of love for the people in my life who are still alive, that are close to me. Plus, I felt really close to the people who have passed, who I still love. So people who have passed into death, they're still here in a sense, because I'm alive and because I'm thinking of them all the time.
Yeah.
And so when I was in that environment, it was kind of a high point, even though there were some low moments in it, because it was very authentic. It felt real. It felt emotionally honest.
Yeah.
And I felt like it was okay for me to just be in the middle of a bunch of people who I don't know, but it was okay to just be myself. And I could be kind of alone in a crowd in a way.
Yeah.
It was okay.
Okay. Nice.
So that was a kind of an interesting high point for me.
I've always found cemeteries to be really peaceful places to walk around. I always have.
Generally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a cemetery in this basic area. I remember when I was a kid, me and a friend of mine, or a couple friends, would sometimes bring our dogs there and walk around this old cemetery. And it seems like an odd thing to say, hey, when we were kids, we used to go play in the cemetery. but we did.
Speaks
And
a lot, Satch.
It was, yeah, it does. It explains some things, you know. But I always found it to be a really peaceful experience. I just always have. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole trip was
It had a lot of
amazingly-
peas in it.
Yeah.
It did have a lot of peas in it, yeah.
Behind the wall. Remember when we had to behind the wall?
Oh, yes.
That's just easy to figure out.
Yeah, yeah.
Nature does call.
Nature called, and we were in the
At
cemetery.
times.
And we're like, well, we don't want to pee on people's graves. So what do we do? And we had to like skip to the back wall and like hop the wall and be like, okay,
Yeah.
here's okay. I don't feel like I'm peeing on somebody's grave.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It wasn't like there was some kind of system where you could. They didn't have like porta potties or anything.
No,
like that.
no.
It wasn't like that. So
And luckily, there was some kind of surrounding area that was like ditches and
yeah.
undeveloped areas where you could feel comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
One of the interesting things about the graveyards, though, was you being here and as a kid seeing the graveyards. Most of the time, they're aligned and in rows.
Yeah.
But over there, it seemed to be scattered anywhere. There.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
the
when I
ground
was saying
shifted a
things
lot.
about like
Okay, yeah,
graveyards, it was like, I'm standing on. You know, I
Yeah.
didn't notice.
And a lot of the ground is soft.
Yeah, and so you had to.
So the stones don't exactly stay in
rocks
place.
and
either.
stones and
Yeah.
dangerous little pathways that you have to follow, like literally just like foot to foot, and you have to put the other foot in front. So you had to like have this
Yeah.
weird reverence and really mind your step.
And it was
Yeah.
pitch black.
And it was pitch black too.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Except for the marigolds and other people
Yeah.
with candles and stuff, that would
Yeah.
light some of your way, but for
It would
the
also
most part,
throw your
there-
night vision off.
Sure.
There were times
Yeah.
that we would go for this long period of time that we thought we'd be, oh, no, turn around, go back the same way. There's no other way to go.
Yeah,
yeah,
We
yeah.
just wasted 20 minutes
Back it up.
trying to get over to the thing that we wanted.
It was far more elaborate in many ways than what we do here, as far as the way they decorate. I'm not saying I have never seen an elaborate mausoleum or a grave here in the U.S. or in California,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying like it was like they did a lot of bling, you know, a lot of bling,
Okay.
and you
amazingly
could
beautiful.
tell, you know, obviously it's a thing. Like if you have money, I guess that's some kind of a good, like a symbol. You could kind of tell that was part of it. Like,
Yeah.
you know, there's a prominent family. We do well. This is how we celebrate our dead. And so there was a lot of that. I did feel a little bit, I'm not going to say sorry for it. It wasn't like I pitied. It's more like a sense of wanting to give some of the light from the graves that were well loved to the graves that were not. I felt a little bit,
Yeah.
sort of just, I guess it was just a caring feeling that I felt like I wanted to
Yeah.
kind of take the light and just sprinkle it over there in the corner where it's not getting
you
any
wanted to
love. you
eliminate
know?
some of that grave envy
Yeah,
that was going on.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
So I think we have a question from the audience,
Oh, okay. The audience.
which is Danny. So the question is, did you meet any interesting people you could tell us about?
Yeah. For one, my friend Christian, who's a longtime friend of mine, had a friend named Stella that lived in Mexico City. And so she connected us. And Stella and I went back and forth on Instagram for a little while and then eventually on WhatsApp. And we met up for dinner. And we had a lovely time with her and her boyfriend.
It was amazing.
We went drinking and eating, and she introduced us to some
We went to this
local
chocolate factory.
Oaxaca cuisine.
Yeah.
And,
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
the
and a
cho-
churro.
The churro place. That's what
like
it was.
one of the
Oh my
original
gosh.
churro
And they had a
places.
pumpkin marigold spice ice cream.
Yeah.
Which was
Marigold spice?
marigold
Spice.
pumpkin
Seasonal,
ice cream.
of course.
Wow.
Seasonal with the churro. This place was
Yeah.
established in. It was like the
Yeah, like 1920 or 30
yeah,
or
something
something.
In the 20s
like
or
that.
30s, yeah.
It'd been around for a minute and super famous, and we would have not seen that at all if we hadn't.
And we had great conversations with her afterward and wandering
Yeah, it
different
was
places.
great. We were walking around
went to
Mexico
this
City
cool,
with her.
really
Excellent.
hip place at the end to have a drink. Remember that place right by the hotel?
Right next door
I
to
don't know if that
hotel, in
part was
fact.
hip.
Right
Yeah.
next door, exactly. and
jazz club.
we're still friends
Yeah,
because of that, you know?
that was super fun.
And for the record, marigolds are edible.
Yes,
Yes.
You can
calendulum.
you can just eat them.
They're also
Yeah.
calendulum, the same flower.
Oh.
Marigolds are calendulum. I actually was curious about this the other day and looked it up.
Okay.
And,
Yeah.
and then I would say every single person on the Luchador night, including our guide, those people were amazing.
Okay.
I
Oh, just
couldn't-
all the people
I
that.
couldn't.
Yeah,
Have,
they
I
were
couldn't have
fun.
asked for a greater
They were fun.
group of people to go. Oh, so while you're at the arena, so Bodhi and I had to go to the restroom, so everyone got seated, and we had to do this weird walk around thing, and then we went and got seated, and we're like, oh, we got to go to the bathroom. And they're like, well, we're out. Well, we should just get more beer. So we went and got some beer. And they take the cup, and they take the 2 beers in their hand with the cup, and they glug, 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 and they pour it in the vessel that they give you is the exact volume of the beer with the foam and the whole thing. And it was just
Very precise.
Okay.
very precise and very crazy. So that was awesome.
So the cup holds exactly 2 beers.
Yeah.
So the woman she's serving it, she pops the cans, she pops the tops off the 2 bottles. She's holding them with her
holds it like
knuckle
that.
like this.
Yeah.
2 bottles in one hand.
She double knuckles.
as she's pouring the beers into the
Wow.
cup. And it was just so professional and so matter of fact. She was just that's what I
Okay,
do.
you want cerveza? Okay, it's fine.
It was a feat.
So the beer was also... I didn't often drink beer, as you know, as well. It's tequila. So that night I
Yeah.
had beer and tequila.
Okay.
So it was a special night with special people. All of those people, all of them were highly entertaining, laugh, good sports, intelligent. Lots of times when you get with a bunch of group of people in tours, especially if you're buying a ticket for some event, you get a lot of dullards.
Yeah, these guys were fun.
That's harsh.
Oh gosh, I know. Wow.
Sorry, am I being harsh?
You're being harsh.
It's the wine.
Now, was there anything that you guys wanted to do that you could not do besides eat
Empanada?
empanadas?
Don't
Yeah.
bring this up, Satch.
Okay.
Why you got to bring it up?
Emotional damage. Yeah, the lake. Remember we were going to do
that cool lake. They had a colonial lake.
what's it called? On Pátzcuaro. There's a little island on there.
Oh, right.
I'm forgetting the name of the island, but it's a famous island that becomes really, really beautiful at night. It's an ancient Aztec site of religious import, but it has become adopted into the, as you mentioned earlier, the syncretic version of that. And so they still cover it with candles and flowers, and it's just kind of like what we visited in the Graves, but just an island version of that surrounded by the water. And we couldn't do it because I think they closed down after a certain hour. And
The ferry wasn't taking me anywhere.
that's it. The ferry wouldn't take us.
Oh, yeah, you could have gone yesterday, but you arrived today. Well, what about tomorrow? Nope, the day after it reopens.
Well,
Okay.
Okay,
But
thanks. So literally...
It's the focus of all the tourist attention in that area. Yeah. So I have read that it's incredibly touristy. And so, okay, if there's one thing you have to miss, let it be the incredibly touristy thing.
Yeah.
Still, I would've
Which
liked to
probably
ride the
means they have incredible empanadas when they're open.
It's a graveyard, so when they're open...
You might get shanked in the kidneys, Satch.
well, Morelia and Pátzcuaro had the really great, like the town, the cobblestones and the effort they put into its creation. So there was a lot of uniqueness and detail that you don't normally see. It was nice. Things
Everything
painted in
about it was
certain
nice.
ways, and just little carvings, and the nice church, and everything was just really, really beautiful.
That was fun at Morelia. We went there in the day, and then later on we came back at night, and they had put the lights on.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it literally was
okay.
2 different cities,
Yeah.
even though
Yeah.
we were there. We were like the little town square area.
Surrounded by good food.
And we had like food there, and then like we went
So much
off
good
and
food.
walked around and did tour stuff and just did, and then like we went through this strange night market
yeah.
with the weird fruits.
Yeah, and then there was the covered bazaar that we went to, where we found all sorts of like figurines and furniture and wall hangings and clothing and knickknacks and trinkets, and some of them were really beautiful.
So we had to go back to our car, which was where the town square was. Boom! They had turned the lights on, and it was just two different adventures. We're like, whoa,
Very
this
nice.
is the same
Yeah.
town square.
Yeah. Every time you go to a different place, different country, there's a different experience of seeing of what animals might be there for you to see. So, like when we go on our hikes, we're always like looking for the owls, or listening to the coyotes, or avoiding the skunks. What was the animal world like there?
A lot of dogs and some cats. There were definitely a lot of dogs. Of course, the occasional rat.
Okay.
And then other than that, I think we saw a couple of. We saw an iguana.
Oh, nice.
Remember at the temple of Teotihuacan, there was that iguana that was on the rock.
Right.
Remember
Yeah,
that?
on the rocks. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's
was
the question.
the,
yeah.
There was the chupacabra.
The
Oh,
chupacabra.
yeah. Was he
Yes.
thirsty?
No, except for I don't remember a lot of animals.
He was hanging out with the Mothman, wasn't he?
Yeah,
It
there you
wasn't
go.
like like in Central America, we saw like the donkey carts and stuff like that. I remember that donkey getting whipped. Oh,
Yeah, wow.
oh what horrible!
That's because the guy saw me with my camera.
And the donkey stuttered and tossed him.
Oh, dear.
Good for the donkey.
He just got up and beat the donkey. That was It was one of those weird, like the church was behind you, and then like the moon, and then there was like this guy beating a donkey, and you're in Central America, you're like in Panama, and you're like, I don't really know, am I watching this? Is this real?
Oh, dear.
Like, Billy, is this real? Are we really watching a human being beating a donkey with a... Yeah.
There was also some place we were going to visit, but we decided that it was too long of an extra 3-hour drive.
Yeah, that was the colonial... When I said, the colonial town, that was what I was referring to.
right.
It was like a Byzantine colonial town or something
Exactly.
Was it
like that.
San
Some
Marco or something like that?
weird architecture
San
buildings.
Marco, maybe?
San Miguel? Or?
Yeah. I don't remember the name of it.
Yeah,
but
San Miguel
it was
de
not on the
something.
route.
Yeah. Yeah, San Miguel. It was the place where they filmed the James Bond parade, the one that doesn't actually happen in real life, but now
I
they
thought
do.
that was in Mexico. That wasn't in Mexico City.
Oh, I think it was supposed to be, but then it was
Fair enough.
filmed, I think, there. Anyway, I could be wrong, but I think
Yeah,
that's
unfortunately, that was we wouldn't have been able to make it. It was a bit of a distance, but that looks beautiful.
That was fun too.
And then there was the catacombs we wanted to visit, but we didn't have enough time to do that.
Yeah, that would've been
And
fun.
it was kind of difficult to figure out whether they were open or closed.
I don't even
and
think they were open. In
They
fact.
might not
I
have
think
been.
because of COVID and because of other things. They were closed.
So Mexico City, as we know it, was built on top of the Azteca city.
The
And
Templo, so the Templo Mayor
yes,
is where Cortez came, and they actually witnessed human sacrifice at the Templo Mayor, which was at the center of the political center of the Aztec Empire, and they built literally the cathedral on top of the Templo Mayor.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Again,
Okay.
you want to take over a country or a civilization. If this is a holy place for them, if this is a central place of importance for them, we're going to build our city hall right here.
Sure. And for practical purposes, everybody knows where it's located.
There you go.
because that's just Golden Bough 101.
Yeah, yeah.
just kidding.
So catacombs, nursery bones.
Yes.
Yeah,
Winter
so that was
Women,
all underneath
Golden
the
Bough,
cathedral.
Yeah.
Racks of skulls, in fact.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was kind of one of those things they didn't really know about, and then they found it, and they're like, "Wow, this is expansive."
So there's a whole like underground kind of
huge
situation there.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
It was written about. So one of Cortez. I'm going to check my notes.
Okay.
One of Cortez's lieutenants, like one of the guys who was a conquistador there on the day, had written extensively about the sacrifices and whatnot that he had seen, and the racks of skulls that were in place. And I'm trying to find his name.
You have your notes. I don't have my notes.
Andres de Tapia. So Andres de Tapia, he was the conquistador that wrote all about this. And then they said, "Oh, he's exaggerating. It couldn't have been that bad." And then in 2015 to 2018, they had done some archaeological digs in the Templo Mayor, and they had found, these are the exact same skulls that he had described, the racks of skulls that he had
There they
That's
described.
were.
right.
There they
Yeah.
were. Wow.
And so it kind of said, all right, well,
Match the
Must be
drawings
true.
exactly.
Well, I'm
right?
glad somebody took notes. And just for the record, I just want to show the camera Dean's notebook here. This is great.
It actually says field notes. Yeah.
This is great. You know, I
Go
just
ahead,
had to
make
show
fun.
this.
Does that have a
it's
Canadian
great.
star on
And
the back
it's got the Canadian star there. Yeah.
these days, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. See what you did there.
Oh goodness. Wow.
Oh, you betcha.
You betcha. Yeah.
That's Minnesota. That's
I
not
know.
us.
I know, but it's close enough.
Yeah, it's
Guys sound
Minnesota,
exactly the
Canada.
Yeah, it's fine.
Canada. What state's that in?
Yeah.
Arkansas. It's not in Arkansas?
It's in the U.S., eh?
Eh?
That was clever.
C-A-N-A.
It's very
D-A.
clever. Yeah.
That's Satch. More questions?
More questions. Now, when did you guys do this? When did you go?
It's Halloween.
Last
That's right,
year
of
during
course,
Halloween.
yeah. Okay.
So it was, I think we planned something like, it was like the 28th, 29th, 30,
Okay.
31, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Because if you were going to ask me what I did when you were gone, I have no recollection of all of what I did. So I'm glad you did what you did. Because
It was
I
odd.
know
I was
what I did.
driving around with Bodie, and I was like, Seems so long ago. Are we going to remember what to talk about?
That's why I made notes.
Meeting with the Duc de Richelieu or something
know,
like that
like,
from what is that? The Devil Rides Out. Once a year, they meet up to have a trip, and one of them is the Duc de Richelieu. So it reminds me of that because I can see us doing this for years to come. But anyway, that's kind of like an occult horror classic called The Devil Rides Out. It's based on a I think Arthur Machen novel maybe, or one of those famous Victorian horror novelists.
Okay.
And,
Guy de Maupassant. It had to have been. It had to have been.
It must
but
be.
it actually it stars Christopher Lee as the Duc de Richelieu,
Christopher Christopher Lee.
and he's fantastic.
He's
in it.
good. He's good in everything.
But anytime we get together and we're meeting in some strange place, and I always think of that. You'll have to watch it just for fun.
All right.
Yeah.
See, some people do traditional vacations, and you guys go to Mexico for the Day of the Dead.
Yes.
And you see sun temples and stuff like that.
Oh, we didn't go see Island of the Dolls.
Which is, I think, would spawn the whole. Now
And
that
we
you're
wanted
thinking
to
about
go
it,
do that.
I think that was one of the things he's like
Yeah.
that spawned the whole thing. He's like,
That would've been a
Mexico
side
City,
trip.
Island of the
Yeah, it
Dolls.
was a side trip.
It would have been a
It
side
would have
trip.
been a side trip.
Okay.
We could have done that, or we could have done the pyramids, basically.
Much better to go to the
when I looked
pyramids
at
than
when I looked
Island
at the
of the Dolls.
itinerary
Yeah,
and kind of
agreed.
yeah.
Some nice
Island of the
snapshots there,
Dolls.
but
It's just Island of the
pyramids
Dolls
was-
is just this macabre-looking island where people go and they hang these dolls basically, just old dolls that are scuffed up and children have thrown them away.
Sounds wonderfully creepy.
And
It's
they just
super
hang them
creepy.
off the trees, and there's
Yeah.
hundreds and hundreds of these dolls hanging around. You walk around the island, and there's dolls. Very creepy.
Yeah.
Very
and I thought,
creepy.
okay, it's within the spirit of the season,
yeah.
so we can make a little side trip. Maybe it's only an
Photo
hour
op.
away from where we were staying at the hotel.
pretty much.
But we
Didn't have
can
time.
live without the island.
Yeah.
Island of the Muñecas.
There you go.
Yeah, is that what it was? Yeah.
Wow, your Spanish is just.
I mean, hey,
I didn't
I
even
gotta,
know
I
this
gotta,
about you, Satch.
I just
Bring
have
you
like
next
a word or two here or there.
And
that I
dolls
gotta-
is one of them.
Yeah, dolls. I know, because I think it also means wrist, and that's how I
Oh,
learned
okay.
it. Which I'm like, why does wrist mean doll and doll mean? But apparently. So Island of the Dolls. That sounds very, very creepy.
Yeah.
Not
Very,
But it would have been very
creepy.
photogenic. I was looking forward to getting some photos and creepy doll photos.
We had a sort of street taco experience, but it wasn't a taco. It was they were called huaraches, and like shoes, huaraches, right?
yeah,
the
sandals.
sandals, and
Wow, more Spanish.
Yeah, a little bit. Poquito.
and they were great. They were kind of shaped like a foot, so the dough flap kind of thing, and it had refried beans on it, and cotija or queso fresca, and then whatever meat you wanted, and then onions and cilantro and various things, and it was good. We had a few things like that were a little unusual. Like you don't really see them in the Mexican restaurants here, and it was kind of fun to try because you're like, oh, that looks kind of good. It's check it out.
And I never understood why the man brought us that with milk on top of it.
Oh, so we did order something like that, and did not order con leche. Okay,
With
but for some
milk on
reason,
it?
In fact, nobody
he put
anywhere
milk on it, and it was sour milk. too.
Why?
It wasn't even good milk.
He certainly didn't say that in Spanish.
No, but
The
this
man
is the
just
guy
took it
who-
upon himself to be Mr. Helpful or Mr.
He
you know
also-
what that's missing? Some sour milk,
Right.
on your
It
foot.
was-
These foreigners won't care.
It was in our pozole.
It wasn't just like
It was in our
little bit of
pozole.
milk.
That's what it was. It
it
wasn't the
was-
huarache. It was a pozole. It was supposed to be soup, and he served it with all this milk.
No,
And
he gave us those.
and
the
he's
little-
supposed to be a
the little
sandwich.
patty
correct
sandwiches.
the little circular
the little patty
clamshell looking
sandwiches
thing. Yeah,
with milk.
yeah.
And it was like,
But we had
There's not
specifically
one
asked
person.
for tres pozoles, and he must have
oh, that
asked
was
us
great. Yeah.
to verify that it was 3
Yeah.
pozoles.
I was like, hey, buddy.
probably 10 times.
Yeah.
And he's like,
This
you know,
minute.
And we
having
were
a
showing
problem communicating with
the
you. I'm
numbers.
like, no, you're not. I'm not. I don't, Spanish or English.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
many
It ain't-
pozoles?
How many people are here?
Yeah.
Yeah, there were
And
only
how
3
many
of us.
fingers am I holding up?
Right. This is pretty easy. Yeah.
Was I there, or was I
Yeah.
walking around looking for the
no.
skulls?
you were there.
You might have.
I
You
was
might have
there?
been getting candy or something like that. But you came back and you're like,
You were
"What's
there.
with the milk?" Why do you put milk on your sandwich?
I do remember that.
Yeah, it
But
was-
I
it was-
just figured this is
sandwich.
one of those cultural things.
It was an
I'm going to
example of something that
respect,
wasn't tasty.
Yeah.
It
and
was
I'm not going to ask
disgusting.
questions.
And it wasn't like that. It was like Carlos poured it off. He goes,
Yeah, I did. I
into
tilted
a
it.
cup, and it like filled a half a cup of milk. Like,
It was ridiculous.
Not one other plate.
That is so odd.
Not one other plate in the immediate area had anything like what he gave us.
Right. And it wasn't on the menu that we saw.
Yeah, we ordered off the menu.
And yet he did it that way.
He's probably like, these Caucasians, from the north, they all like
they
milk.
like milk. Who knows?
So,
I wasn't into
I don't
Make
know.
him
I
feel
think,
at
I think
home.
he was just in another realm. Maybe he was in a spirit realm
he
or
was
something.
in
Because
a spirit
we had to
world.
tell him 3 pozoles probably 10 times.
Maybe it was skeleton juice.
It could be.
Could have been. Yeah,
Could
skeleton
be.
juice. Yeah. So, what foods did they have in Mexico that you wish they had here in the Mexican restaurants?
I like the candied yams.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Oh, that
That
sounds
was a delicious.
good.
Yeah,
Freaking
street food again
amazingly
in
delicious.
the.
Wow, that
It
sounds
wasn't
great.
Pascuara, was it?
It was Pascuara.
It was in the town square.
Yeah,
we had
Morelia,
that?
yeah.
Yeah, it was in Morelia, I think.
Yeah.
It was in Morelia. Just had a bunch of street food.
Okay.
And it was like,
Yeah, a lot of that street
I'm
food.
not one of
Imagine if you
those. Like,
if
what
you
is that?
looked
It's like-
hard enough, you could find probably everything we saw there.
Well,
you could find here. I would think.
elotes, the corn that we see in downtown Santa Ana
Yeah.
and places like that. They had a lot of that there too. But it was really we don't really see the sweet potato though, for some reason. No. I've never seen
surprised.
it. I am too. It's not something
It's
that you'd
interesting.
think it would be that exotic.
It was like a candied yam,
but it
candied
was
sweet potato.
In fact, I
really incredible.
have a recipe.
It's not in your
field
notebook?
notes?
It just
In the
happens to
field
have a
notes,
recipe
yeah.
in one of those pockets.
I
Field
have.
notes.
Excuse me, hold on for a second.
Oh yeah. What else we got here? Could I read this or not?
Well, I don't know if
I don't know if you
your,
can.
your readers will find it interesting.
Oh, look at that.
But I was given this recipe by a friend of mine who's from the South. It's the sweet potatoes. It's like the candied yams, but with sweet potatoes, with the caramelized. So, yeah.
Caramelized awesomeness.
We actually
So
make
if any of
that.
your readers...
Interesting. Okay.
I don't know if I can give it away. It's an
Yeah.
old family recipe, but...
Well, not to start a controversy, but my grandpa always insisted that everything that we get here is sweet potatoes and that we don't actually get true yams here. That's what he insisted. The yams, like what we think are yams, are not really yams. It's not the real yams.
I guess we just have to look at the Latin names, right? Diascoria is a yam, right?
Diascoria, yeah. But I guess he insisted that a yam is a particular thing from a particular place, and that what we get are just different kinds of sweet potatoes.
Yeah.
We're going to have to do a DNA test.
I am what I am.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's all that you yam.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we should start a restaurant for all of the food that comes from countries that we have when we go there, but we can't get here.
You can call it Lost Foods.
Lost foods.
Welcome to Lost Foods.
Yeah.
Find what you need.
What would you need?
Mexican street yams and, all the little things that yeah.
So we haven't talked about our next trip yet.
We haven't planned it yet.
We haven't planned
Well,
it.
you're supposed to plan it when you're on your...
I have a few
trip.
ideas, but we haven't gotten that
Well, what
far
are your
yet.
ideas? Because
Yeah,
I'm
maybe some-
sardine run
well-
off the coast of Madagascar.
I love that idea. Absolutely love that idea.
If we're going off the top of my head.
I also have it on my bucket list. I would like to visit Morocco and spend a little time in Morocco as one place. So that would be one
Morocco.
thing.
That would be really cool. And then
I'm
we're,
in.
if
Morocco's
I
sounds
can go on
I'm
this
in.
trip, we're all going to have to watch Hideous Kinky just before we go.
Of course.
I don't know.
And
what that is, but
Casablanca.
it sounds good to me.
Well, you've seen it because I saw it with you and Carlos in the movie theater a long time
Yeah,
ago
we saw it.
with Kate Winslet, but it was a long time ago. Yeah.
Well, that's why you have friends. They help you remember.
There
things
could be
that you
reasons
forget.
why we don't remember this, Seamus.
Well,
Probably.
you guys
Was
brought
it a
in
happy
beer
hour thing?
Just saying.
and set the beer bottles down, and then one of you kicked the beer bottle and went
And it
"Diggy, diggy, diggy,
rolled.
diggy, diggy," all the way down to the front of the theater.
All the way down.
Yeah,
It was
that
very
interesting.
loud.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, there was quite a lot of snickering.
How many
there.
times?
was some
How many times
snickering.
have I done that in my life?
I feel like Oliver might have been there with us too, or something. I don't know.
yeah, it was you, Seamus, me, and it might have been somebody else. Maybe it was just us. Maybe it might have been Patrick.
Could be. Yeah, could be.
Well, where do you want to go?
Well, like I said, I was thinking Morocco, Marrakesh, Casablanca, and depending on how much there is to do there, we could go from there to someplace else. But I think that would be really fun and classic and kind of cool. I just think there's so much cool history there. It'd be fun. So,
Okay.
I'm open to ideas.
Okay.
All right. We'll go fishing on the Nile.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
I mean,
You guys
Egypt could be a trip after that.
Yeah.
But there's so much to do in Egypt.
Yeah, that would be
Maybe it's from there to Ethiopia and get a little bit more Ethiopia time, because we were there in Ethiopia so briefly.
Ethiopia is a bit of a hub, so I mean, if we plan it right, we could probably get a little time in Ethiopia, a few days before a flight out, like transit kind of thing.
There's a ton of archaeological stuff there that would be fun to check out.
Ethiopia?
Yeah.
Actually, if we wanted to go to the
Ark
Church
of
of
the
St. Mary in
Yes.
Zion,
So we can go
up in the north of Ethiopia.
Ark of the Covenant.
That's
That
where
just screams
that's where the
motorcycles to
keeper
me.
of the Ark of the Covenant is.
That
Who's
would
to
be
say
cool
if the
to
Ark
go.
of the Covenant is there?
I say we get
Somewhere in the
motorcycles
basement.
in
Yeah.
Ethiopia.
Yeah. Well,
We'll have to break in and find out.
I'm for it.
Thank you. Now you've just broadcast that.
we'll get Grant
Wink.
Hancock to come with
I'm
us.
for you to have the courage to do that. Because I'm not gonna.
Yeah. I'll bring my my tin snips so we can get through the
There's
very
kitty.
difficult fence
Yeah,
that's
the
right
little-
there. The chain link
The
fence.
little
yeah.
pictures of it, super cute. And you're like, that's where the arc. Nobody's
there-
broken in
there's
there.
like 2 guards
Nobody's
there.
broken in there. Nobody's ever just
the
like
rifles.
manhandled their way in with like 6 guys.
Well, yeah.
Stolen the Ark of the Covenant. Like,
Yeah.
Well, it's supposed to kill you if you open it, right?
well,
Well, if you have it the right way, though, if
Yeah.
you wear the right outfits and things like that, you can. All your enemies will perish.
you have to put the aluminum
So once you
hat
get
on.
there, you're
Yeah,
good.
so
The
you gotta-
aluminum
yeah.
hat will save the day.
a lead
The
X-ray
aluminium.
shield or something.
Aluminium.
It's a wool.
Aluminium.
It's actually a wool outfit that has like an encrusted gem, gemstone.
The sheep would be okay.
Yeah, you have the priestly garb
Okay.
of ancient time.
Well, it's settled. The Ark of the Covenant.
Ethiopia it is.
Well, then we'll start our
Ethiopia
own
it is.
country. We'll be good.
All right. Well, fellas, I would say cheers to more adventures.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You've been listening to The Authenticity Show with your hosts, Carlos Casados and Satch Purcell. Very special thanks to our guests, Seamus Warnock and Dean Karolakis. My name is Oliver Althoen. I produce the show. I also wrote our theme song, which you're listening to right now. Go ahead and subscribe to the show if you haven't already done so, wherever you get your podcasts, and you can find our website at authenticityshow.com. Thanks for listening, and have an authentic day.